can't get any words. Podcasts don't last, giving you the real talk, no holding back. Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining. We'll set you free, so join the movement. Let's change the game with the Can't Get Any Worse podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Can't Get Any Worse podcast. We have UFC 314 breakdown. Welcome aboard. Pleasure to have you all. This is a little bonus episode for the week, I suppose you'd say. But yeah, every UFC pay-per-view, I should say, I jump in here and I give my picks, and hey, 9 times out of 10, they're wrong. But welcome aboard anyway. Let's hope that we can jag them this month. And guys, let me tell you straight off the bat, I've got a number of dogs for you guys today. This is going to be this could be the card that flips my bank account around, and I'm hoping I can bring you guys along for the ride with me. But I just thought, let me clear my throat in your ear holes there. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I figured before we rip into the card, the amazing card that it is, potentially the best one of 2025 so far, if I do say so, I figured I would touch on some big stories since the last time we were in here doing UFC breakdown. So straight off the bat, one of the biggest ones that I've been monitoring over the last couple of years, to be honest. I've spoken to you guys on previous episodes about it, but it's all finalised now. It's official. Cain Velasquez has been found guilty, and he is now serving time in jail. Now, when I first heard that, much like the rest of the internet, I was like, this is fucked. This is a joke. For those of you that don't remember the story, Cain Velasquez, ex-UFC champion, found out that his son was getting less than ideal things happen to him at his daycare center by a male teacher, okay? Let's just somehow tiptoe around that story. Cain Velasquez, ex-UFC heavyweight champion, up there with one of, like, people throw his name around with the GOAT status, especially of the heavyweight division. He found this out, and he decided to take matters into his own hands. He went and found this dude and shot the guy's car, and unfortunately shot the guy's dad in the leg or something. Nobody died, just injured. And all I can think, along with a lot of the internet that I've read, I just wish Cain did not take a gun to the situation. I wish he just rocked up, pulled this guy out of his car, and just beat the absolute living fuck out of this guy. Because then what? Worst case, he just gets done with an assault charge and he's still at home with his kids. Now, when I first heard, okay, he's going to jail 5 years, I'm like, that's fucked. Then I did I didn't really do much research. To be honest, I heard it on another podcast. So if it's wrong, let's blame them. But apparently his conviction, he's already, he's getting the time served thing already. So that was like 4 years ago, apparently. So if all goes well, he'll be out in January, which isn't that bad. Like, from now till January, what's that? Like 10 months or something. I reckon Cain will be fine in jail for 10 months. And then he gets out and he's a free man. So, yeah, that was a bit of a shitty story with a shitty outcome as far as I'm concerned. I don't know your guys' opinions on it, but hey, right into the show if you guys do have some opinions. Would love to hear it. What else has happened? This is probably the biggest news in quotation marks. Dana White came out last week and he's like, it's got some big news. It's going to fucking blow everyone's minds. The biggest thing in UFC history. Are you guys ready? So I'm sitting there. I'm ready to go. The Instagram live thing goes off. Dana White is live. I'm like, oh, my God, I can't miss this. Jump on. And, oh, my goodness, guys. I might have a quick sip of water. Sorry about that. All right. That should get me through the next couple of stories. But, yeah, jump on. And Dana just announces that the UFC is now partnering with Meta to bring the fans, like, better fan experiences and things like that. And to be honest, to me, it just sounded like a load of shit. I don't know. Like, I'm intrigued to see what they do with it all. But like they said, they're going to incorporate the meta glasses and things like that. But how? You're not going to fucking make John Jones wear meta glasses while he's in the middle of a fist fight. That doesn't make sense. So what? Maybe on the referee so you can get ref vision. But even then, it's like, that'd be cool for the first one. But am I going to tune in next week and see it again? Probably not. So the only thing from that announcement that did pique my interest is Meta is now taking over the UFC rankings as well. That has been a big beef with Dana White for as long as I can remember. He hates the current ranking system. He doesn't know how they work it out, and it's all worked out just from a bunch of people that have never stepped foot in a cage, have never even been near one, and they just work it all out in La La Land. So I'm intrigued to see how they actually work out the rankings now, because even if it's all done by AI or whatever they're going to use, they've still got to get that research or whatever from somewhere. So are they just going to scan the internet and see every forum on the internet that's like John Jones is the GOAT? And then they're just going to be like, oh, okay, John Jones is number one pound for pound, even though he hasn't fought for the last 5 years. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm intrigued. It's piqued my interest, but whether or not it's going to be better or worse, I guess we've all just got to wait and see, don't we? But my fingers are crossed. I genuinely hope that any collaboration or relationship the UFC is getting in at this stage is genuinely for the better and not necessarily like a money play, but who knows? Another huge one. Okay, this one's crazy, and I can't believe I'm even about to say it. My favorite fucking fighter of all time, Conor McGregor. Controversial take these days with all the outside of the cage debacles that he's found himself in. He came out this month after a meeting with Donald Trump in the White House, and he said he's going to run for president of Ireland. Which, like, come on, mate. You've said you're coming back to fight for the last 4 years or so. You just keep leaving us hanging, and now all of a sudden you're going to go and run for presidency in Ireland. And then I started watching all these TikToks and reels and shit of people interviewing people on the street of Ireland. They're like, would you vote for Conor McGregor? And I remember in his come up, if there was a Conor McGregor fight, the whole arena was just full of Irish flags and people pretending they're like, oh, I did my 23andMe. I'm 5% Irish. Go Conor McGregor. I'm basically Conor McGregor's cousin. And then all that stuff started to happen. They're like, yeah, fucking, I'm English. I'm actually not Irish. Just trying to distance themselves from him. And then, yeah, people were interviewing people. They're like, are you going to vote for Conor McGregor? And everyone's just like, no, we fucking hate him. He gives Ireland a bad name. And I'm like, ugh, fucking, what's that word? What's the, where you're not a genuine fan? A casual. Fucking casuals. That's the word I was thinking of. Sorry about that mental blank. But actually, it would genuinely be sick. Like, Donald Trump's obviously president of America now. A lot of people see him as a bit of a badass. But could you imagine a genuine badass? Like, imagine a two-division UFC champion running for presidency and becoming the president. And before that even happens, like, he's got ownership in bare knuckle fighting now. What if he goes and wins the bare knuckle championship as well? So you'd have a two-time UFC champion, bare knuckle champion, president of Ireland. That'd actually be insane. But yeah, I do not think he has the mentality to be president. Like, he has let so much shit get to his head. Could you imagine if they were like, okay, Conor, you're president now? Holy shit. He would walk straight into the office and just hit the big red button. Crazy shit. So fingers crossed it doesn't happen, as much as I love Conor. Now, some genuine fight news, okay? Let's get inside the octagon. This literally broke today. So I'm recording this Thursday, just so you guys know. So, no, what's today? This comes out on Thursday. I'm recording this on Wednesday, the day before. So any fucking what's the word I'm thinking about? When you bet any stakes? No, not stakes. Any odds? Oh my God. It's been a long day, ladies and gentlemen, which we will touch on next week's episode. Any odds or anything I talk about in this episode are as of Wednesday. So if you've missed these fat, juicy odds, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. But in actual fight news, broke today, Aaron Pico, ex-Bellator champion, is coming over to the UFC. Now, we're going to talk about a few ex-Bellator champions throughout this breakdown because they feature on this card. But this is the first time we're going to see an ex-Bellator champion come over in his prime. Now, Aaron Pico is a weapon. If you have not seen any of his fights, go watch an Aaron Pico highlight video on YouTube. And he's coming over to the UFC at 27 years of age, sorry. Now, that is prime. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a statistic where most fighters hit their prime at 30. So, like, he's coming up into it, and from what we've already seen, he's a beast. So I think if Bellator ever had a chance of proving that they were up there with the top ranking MMA fighters in the world, because that's what you always hear behind the scenes. It's like, well, unless you're UFC champion, you're no one. Like, no, name me the last 5 Bellator champions. No one can. No one knows. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see how all that goes down, because every Bellator crossover we've seen till now, they've come over when they're like 35, 40 years old, and it's like they're ready to retire. They've come over here for the money play, and then they're going to ride off into the sunset. So genuinely intrigued to see how that plays out for him. And hey, let's put it on record, ladies and gentlemen. I reckon within the next 2 years, Aaron Pico will be UFC champion. Jot it down, timestamp me, come back to me in 2 years, and we will review the footage. Now, 2 other fights got announced this week. Sugar Sean has finally got his rematch with Merab. He lost the title to Merab in disgusting fashion, to be honest. It was one of the worst championship performances I'd ever seen as a fan. And all I can say is I hope Sugar Sean puts in the training, puts the time in, does everything he needs to do to win that belt back, because Sugar Sean was just such a fun, exciting champion. Like, you had to see Sugar Sean fight. Whereas Merab, I'll watch him if he's on a card with like other people I want to watch, but I'm probably not going to go and buy a Merab-led pay-per-view, if that makes sense. And don't get me wrong, I've said it again in the past. Merab is an absolute beast. If he gets past Sugar, which deep down I think he's going to, I don't think Sugar has the answer for Merab. I think Merab will be champion for a very long time. I don't see anyone else in the division with the answers to his puzzle that he gives everyone. So that's the UFC 316 main event. The co-main, this was one, I'm excited about this one. This was another crossover about a year or so ago that I came to you guys with frothing about. Kayla Harrison is finally getting her championship match. Now, she was a big contender in the PFL division, which is another PFL organization, sorry. She won the championship 2 or 3 times over there, and everyone's like, well, come over to the UFC and prove yourself. She's come over in the last 12 months. She's basically beaten 2 or 3 contenders to get here, and now she's fighting Julia Peña for the co-main on UFC 316. I see Kayla Harrison annihilating Juliana Peña, sorry, in my opinion. Kayla Harrison is a fucking jacked woman. In all politeness, no disrespect. I wish I was a jacked woman. But yeah, I am UFC 316. I'm intrigued to see what other fights go on the back of that. But so far, so good. It's looking pretty stacked. That's been a big thing in the news as well the last month or two, is the UFC pay-per-view model now. How you just literally, you're pretty much just buying the fights for the main event and co-main, and then they're just throwing I don't want to call it shit for the rest of the card because I genuinely like the fights coming up. But I remember, like, during the whole Conor era and even just before that, you bought a pay-per-view and from the first fight to the main event, it was all names you knew. It was fucking stacked. And then all the fight nights, that's where you saw the up-and-comers and things like that. And it could just be a case of back then there was what? I don't know, 100 fighters, 200 fighters, whereas now there's thousands of fighters. So it could be a case of that, of we can't give everyone prime spot. We need to even it all out. But yeah, I definitely see where people are coming from with that. Like, I genuinely now every month when the pay-per-views come around, I genuinely have to be like, is this worth $70? Like, or should I just go and watch the main event somewhere else for free? But anyway, this card, UFC 314, this Sunday, Australian time. It is stacked. This one is worth the $70. Now, I will be coming off the back of a weekend in Newcastle. I fly in Sunday morning. So, pending flight times and pending children's behaviour when I get home, I will be on the couch from start to finish on this card. Lot of things up in the air at this stage, but if there's a way I can watch this whole card, I will be glued to the screen. Now, I'm just going to quickly scroll down so I can see it a bit better over the top of my camera. My little notes here. So, we're kicking off early prelims. First fight of the night. Women's bantamweight division. We have, again, you ready for some butchering of some names? We have Nora Cornolle versus Hailey Cowan. Now, when I first saw this fight, I was like, I want to go Hailey Cowan every day of the week. She looks like she could be the next face of the women's division. You know what I mean? She's got that Paige Van Zandt look. She's got that Ronda look. She's got that Holly look. Just the innocent American blonde girl who looks like she can get in there and kick some ass. Now, then I started to do some research. Hailey Cowan has cancelled. Wait, what did I write there? Yeah, she's had 4 fights booked since she's been in the UFC, okay? And she's made it to one of those fights. So she's cancelled 3 of her 4 fights from the research I did. I hope that was right. But her opponent, Cornolle, is 2-1 in the UFC. Now, she's coming off a loss, and I think she's going to be hungry to get the win back. Looking at the two, like I said, I genuinely wanted Hailey Cowan to win, but I've got to go Cornolle at $1.57. On to the next one. We've got the middleweight division. We've got Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. Now, if you guys have got your phone handy, jump on, look at old mate Tresean Gore, and tell me he is not an exact ringer for Hannibal Buress? What's his name? The comedian that went after Bill Cosby. The one that brought down Cosby. Cosby, where are you? Come here, brother. I miss you peering over my shoulder every week. But yeah, go check him out, 100%. If Hannibal decided he wanted to be a UFC fighter instead of a comedian, this is what he would look like. But let's rip into the fight. I do not see Gore winning this fight, despite his look-alike. Tulio is an absolute weapon. He is 13-1. Based on his record and just the fucking everything I've seen so far about the guy, I've got to go him at $1.28. So that is Tulio at $1.28. Again, I haven't given you guys much value at this stage. Don't worry. It's coming. Trust me. We're going to get towards the back end of this card and you guys are going to be like, you are being so silly, James. You are fucking ridiculous. I'm not putting any money towards that. So, hey, that's up to you guys. If you guys don't want to win some money this week, that's up to you. This next one in the flyweight division. All right, you guys are going to want to listen closely because this, a little clue, it's going to be in my guaranteed bets. Flyweight division, we've got Sumudaerji, I think. I don't know. Versus Mitch Raposo. So, Suma, I'm just going to call him Suma, okay? You guys will know who I'm talking about. He's coming off 3 straight losses, okay? Not ideal. Not great. 100%. I'll put my hand up. So I read that. Now, Raposo actually lost on the Contender Series, and then he picked up 4 straight wins to get himself back into the UFC. And then he took a short notice fight to get back in the UFC, which I believe he might have lost as well. But if you're looking at that, 3 losses, 4 wins, 1 loss. Hey, sports bet. I don't want to tell you how to pick your odds, but I would suggest that Raposo would be the favourite in that one, correct? Based on that and based on what I've seen. Let me check the odds there real quick. Holy shit. Mitch Raposo at $2.57. Did somebody say value? Did someone go to Hungry Jack's and get me a value meal? Because that is a guaranteed fucking bet. If I've ever seen a safer bet in some early prelims, guys, go load it up. Go load it up. Send me a DM on Sunday and say thank you so much for that cheeky little one in the early prelims. You are welcome in advance. Then we spoke about this guy. Oh, I just kicked my camera. Hopefully it's still all good. Capping off the early prelims, we've got the middleweight division. We've got Sedriques Dumas versus Michał. I'm not even going to attempt it. Oleksiejczuk. Sorry about that if you're watching this, Michał. I'm just going to scroll up on this other side of the screen so I have a visual of the two. Anyway, we spoke about this Sedriques character a couple of pay-per-views ago because I said he resembles one of the Island Boys. So he's back for another fight, ladies and gentlemen. And based on their records, I'm going to pick the Island Boy in this one. I like Sedriques. He is 10-2. The other guy has a less than favourable record. He does seem like a bit of a beast. He's from Poland. He's got that Polish power. But yeah, I'm going to go my boy Sedriques, the Island Boy, in this one at $2.61. More value to cap off the early prelims. Again, I must stress, if you're going these dogs, take them as singles. Do not throw them in a multi because you will lose. It is almost guaranteed. Let's move up to the prelims, ladies and gentlemen. We have the featherweight division. We have Darren Elkins, who is a veteran of the sport. If you do not know this guy, you're not a UFC fan. He has the damage tattooed across his chest. He is versing Julian Erosa. Now, to be fair, I don't have a lot about this fight, okay? I have not seen much of Julian. I don't remember seeing any of his previous fights, if we want to be honest with each other. I've seen a fair bit of Darren Elkins in the day. Now, looked at the odds again. This could be a me issue, okay? This could be a James, you need to do more research on this Julian character because he's a weapon. But I saw Darren Elkins paying $4 and I went, oh boy, I could put a tickle on that. A sneaky $10 at $4 odds? Are you telling me I'm picking up a sneaky $40 on Sunday? Mate, lock it in. All right, let's go Darren Elkins at $4. Now, I must note, ladies and gentlemen, I have brackets beside that say risky. So I just want to emphasize that to you guys again. That is a risky as fuck bet. But if you feel an extra froggy, throw a couple of bucks at it, you know? Oops, I scrolled down on the wrong screen. I've got to scroll down on my notes and up on the pictures. It's fucking so annoying. Anyway, next one, lightweight division. Let's have a little sip before we rip into this one. Oh, yeah. Delicious Logan tap water. Lightweight division, we've got Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller. Now, this is one of the fights that I'm actually intrigued to watch on the entire card. Jim Miller, absolute weapon of the sport. He holds multiple records of, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's things like most amount of fights in the UFC, longest cage time in the UFC, most wins in the UFC, all records like that, okay? And for him to not be one of the huge, like the big names in the UFC, it's wild with the amount of records he has. But yeah, he's on the back end of his career. He is the only fighter to have fought in UFC 100, UFC 200, and UFC 300. That's how long this bloke has been around, and he's still in there being fucking competitive in these fights, like teaching these young guns how to throw down. Now, Chase Hooper is coming off the win from Clay Guida. I picked Clay Guida in that one for an upset. I wanted to pick my veteran brother. I was watching him as I was getting into the UFC, and I was like, please knock out Chase Hooper. But yeah, it seems that Chase Hooper, the UFC's given him this job. They've gone, we're going to give you vet after vet after vet, and you're just going to pick them off one by one. And if you get through all them, potentially one day we'll throw you a title fight. Now, this is one that I backspaced, okay? I chose Chase Hooper originally, and then I realized who the fuck Jim Miller was, and I went, in my right mind, cannot pick against Jim Miller. So, again, I've got risky in brackets. This is the juiciest paying bet you can do on this entire UFC card, I'm pretty sure. Jim Miller is paying $6.05 to win. That's win anyway as well. That's knockout, submission, decision. Anyway, just for Jim Miller to get his hand raised at the end, $6? That is wild, considering he is still in there with some of the best of them. So, I don't know. It's a risky one. Take it or don't take it. It doesn't bother me. Also, pretty cool. Our last names are basically the same. Miller, Misson. You replace the double L and the R with a double S and an N. I'm pretty much in the UFC, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, then we move on to the strawweight division. Let me scroll down. The women's strawweight division, I must add. Now, if you can't see a picture, look, this card should be UFC 314 / lookalikes. Look, I don't want to come across offensive, but one of the ladies in this, what's her name? Virna Jandiroba. For those that aren't familiar with the name, if I say this, you guys will be like, oh, I know exactly who she is. She's the woman that looks exactly like Rob Schneider. Oh, God. Yes, Rob Schneider from all the hit 90s and early 2000s films with Adam Sandler. Or if you watch South Park, it could be the episode. It's like, Rob Schneider in the UFC. Pretty funny South Park episode. Go check it out. So she is versing Xiaonan. Not too sure. She's a Chinese fighter that was coming up with Zhang Weili. She hasn't quite had the run that Zhang's had, but she's still a pretty decent fighter. She's had a few losses. I just realized I had my sunnies on my head. That's fucking awkward. Anyway, she's had a few losses. I'll admit that. But I think she has the advantage in striking in this one. And I don't know. It's literally a flip of a coin one, okay? It's literally the age-old fight, striker versus jiu-jitsu. And I just think Yan, not too sure. I'm sorry. I think she gets it done in this one at $2.17. A little bit more value for you guys there. You're very welcome. Then we move on to the featherweight division. I don't have a great deal on this one either. Dan Ige. He's reached that vet status, and they just seem to be throwing young underdogs at him, okay? And he's not that old himself, but it's like, you've been around a while, mate. But I'm not the biggest Dan Ige fan, if I put it out there. So before I even did any research, I was just going to pick his opponent regardless. But I did a little bit of research in Sean Woodson. He has a record of 13-1, which pretty good record if you ask me, especially in the featherweight division. A lot of killers in that division. So I'm going him at $1.59. Relatively safe bet. You guys are welcome. That wraps up the prelims. Now let's get into the main card. This, like I said, this is the most stacked main card I've seen in a while, where I genuinely want to see every fight on this main card. Usually there's one fight thrown in there where you're like, okay, that's the toilet break. This one does not have that. If you had to pick one, it's the first fight. But even saying that doesn't feel right. Kicks off with the light heavyweight division. We have Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. Now, both absolute beasts. Let's just get that off the bat. Dominic Reyes had that fight with John Jones back in the day where a lot of people thought that he won. I was not one of those people, mainly due to the fact that John Jones can do no wrong in my eyes. But yeah, I just think that Krylov he's looking better at the moment. I think Dominic Reyes, as much as he probably doesn't want to hear it, I think he's on the back end of his career. Krylov is coming off 2 straight stoppages, like win stoppages. And yeah, I don't know. Like a Dominic Reyes fight at the moment, there's no confidence in whether he's going to win or lose. He just shows up and, hey, if he wins, it's like, good job, Dom. But if he loses, it's like, no surprise. So I cannot pick him in this fight. I have to go Krylov at $1.54. That is probably my safest bet of the main card, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get dangerous. Now we move on to the featherweight division. If you are not keen to see this fight, you're not a UFC fan. We have Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. Now, for those that aren't familiar, Bryce Mitchell is the one that's been prancing around praising Hitler, saying that the earth is flat. Every conspiracy theory you can think of, this guy is on board. He has rocks in his brain, to put it politely. But holy fuck, do I love me some Bryce Mitchell. If you don't think Bryce Mitchell is one of the most entertaining fighters / characters in the UFC, you're crazy. In saying that, Gene Silva is a bit of a weapon. And to be fair, I didn't know much about him until his last fight, where he got the win and he called out Bryce Mitchell and he basically said, hey, UFC, if you want someone to shut up Bryce Mitchell, I'm your guy. A week later, UFC announces this fight as if to say, we've had enough of Bryce Mitchell. Now, let's get into the statistics. Silva has not lost a fight since 2018. I read that. I'm like, holy fuck, that's impressive. But then when you look at those numbers, that was 4 fights, okay? Which, again, don't get me wrong. 4-fight win streak is impressive. But since 2018 is a long time ago now. What's that? 7 years? 8 years? I don't know. I'm not good at math right now. 7 years. So part of me likes that. Part of me doesn't like that. Bryce Mitchell is one of the best wrestlers in the UFC. He has one of 2 of the only twister finishes in the UFC. When I first saw that, I was like, holy shit, that is impressive. But yeah, if it's, again, much like I said before, it's that age-old striker versus wrestler. If Bryce gets this to the ground, I see him getting the win. If Gene can keep this on the feet, he's going to potentially get the knockout of Bryce Mitchell, and it's going to be a very, very sad night for me. So, based on what I just said, and based on looking back at their records, this is a little bit of I love the character tip, and also a little bit of I had to look back at their strength of competition in the past. Now, Bryce Mitchell has beaten Edson Barbosa, absolute fucking weapon of the sport, one of the best kickboxers to ever step in the UFC cage. He has beaten Dan Ige, that we spoke about earlier in the episode. He has beaten Crone Gracie, who the Gracie family is up there with the best. You look through Gene Silva's records and no big names are really jumping out at you. You're like, okay, well, who's there? Now, the other one, Bryce Mitchell also fought the current champion, Topuria. He lost to that, obviously, but who hasn't? Topuria is one of the best fighters we've seen. So to be in there with the champ and be somewhat competitive, he did lose in the second round, but still, I think if Bryce Mitchell can grind this out, turn it into a wrestling match, don't give Silva any space, I'm picking Bryce Mitchell at $3.20. Those odds seem insane to me based on the records. So yeah, I shall be having a sneaky dabble on that if the funds permit. Now we move on to the featherweight division. This one is going to be sick. Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Now, I mentioned this a few weeks ago when Patricio got signed to the UFC. So keen to see him fight in the UFC. The only thing is, he's now 37 years old. He is an old dog. Now, I don't know. Yair is coming off 2 losses. One to Volkanovski. You can't blame him for that. Absolute weapon. And one to Brian Ortega. Again, absolute weapon. To lose to Volkanovski via KO, the worst way you can lose to Volkanovski. And to lose to Ortega by a submission, the worst way you can lose to him. I don't know. I feel for the guy. He definitely needs this win. 100%. He's going to be coming out and he's going to be doing everything he can to get this win. But Pitbull is a former 3-time Bellator featherweight champion and a former Bellator lightweight champion. That is pretty crazy. I know I said the thing earlier about like no one cares unless you're UFC champ, but to win 3 times in one division and then move up and win in that division as well in any promotion, kind of impressive. The other thing, he has 36 career wins, 12 by knockout and 12 by submission, which A, spells out he's a finisher, and B, he can get you from all angles. He can knock you out, he can submit you. We've just said Yair in his last 2 fights has been knocked out and submitted. I don't know. Like I said, Yair needs this win more than anything, and everything I've seen on the internet, everyone has picked him. No one else that I have seen personally has picked Pitbull. I'm going Pitbull. I'm going Pitbull at $2.59. That shit is crazy. I just realized something as I said that out loud. Pitbull, the rapper, Mr. Worldwide, is from Miami. The fights are in Miami, and Patricio Pitbull is mate. If that's not an omen for the fucking guaranteed pick of the card, you guys are crazy. I just made you guys easy money. Go and throw $100 on that. Thank me later. The co-main. Let's get into it. The lightweight division. Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. Again, an ex-Bellator champion who made the move over. I thought this guy was going to be the next big thing in the UFC. Now, he is, I believe he's 36 or 37 as well at the moment. He's 1-4 in his last 5. And that one win was over a decrepit Tony Ferguson. A lot of people are throwing that stat around this week. But guys, again, I need to drum into you guys. Go and look at the 4 losses Michael Chandler has. They were against literally champions or top 1 or 2 contenders. Absolute beasts. Like, they're throwing everyone at this guy. Now, this is another one. Everything I've seen is picking Paddy Pimblett. I don't know. He's got a good record. He's won his last 6 fights in the UFC. I didn't see him winning the last fight that he had, but he got in there and got it done. So, can he do it again? A lot of people are thinking yes. But much like I've said about a couple of people in this card, Michael Chandler needs this win to keep his UFC dream alive. Like, if he wants to be champion like he has wanted to do since he stepped foot in the UFC, he has to get this win over Paddy Pimblett. My brain is saying Paddy, but the underdog in me, I'm wanting Michael Chandler at $2.25. Throw it at me. Again, risky as fuck bet, ladies and gentlemen, but it's worth a dabble. Like, Michael Chandler is an absolute weapon. He's a veteran of the sport. Paddy Pimblett, young up and coming lion. He might make one wrong move, zigged when he should have zagged or something. Bang, knocked out. So I'm going to go Michael Chandler. I did hear a crazy thing. So Brendan Schaub, I heard this on his podcast this week, and it kind of made me want to pick Paddy purely for this storyline. He's like, Paddy is the new UK superstar, okay? Conor McGregor is looking for a relatively easy opponent. Why don't we do a main event in the O2 Arena in the UK? Main event, if Paddy makes it through Michael Chandler, Paddy versus Conor in the O2 Arena. Sell out fucking the UK. Give Conor his last UFC fight against someone who he thinks he might have a chance against. The shit writes itself. It sounded amazing. But I'm picking Michael Chandler. Main event, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. This is going to be a fucking sick fight. Now, the age factor again. This whole card is old lions versus young up-and-coming dogs. Volkanovski's 36 now. He's 110% on the back end of his career. If he loses this fight, it's got to be done. Gloves down in the octagon. You've made your money. You've got a family. Go live your life. And to be fair, he's looking in a lot better mindset than he was his last two fights. He seems happier on the internet, spending a lot of family time, calming down. He's looking good. I saw photos of him today in his fight gear. Jacked as shit. It's looking like prime Volk again, which I fucking hope so. But he's coming off two devastating losses to Topuria and Makhachev, both knockout losses. Is his chin gone? We're not really going to know, but Diego Lopez is going to fucking test it because that kid can bang. Lopez is 5-1 in the UFC at the moment. So another crazy statistic against Volkanovski that I've read and a lot of people are throwing around. No fighter over the age of 35 has ever won the title at 155 pounds or lower. That is not a statistic you want in your corner, ladies and gentlemen. Look, again, my brain, if I had to sit down and genuinely think about who would win this fight, I really don't want to say it, but Diego Lopez, I think, could get the victory. But I just cannot, at the end of the day, bet against my boy Volk. Volkanovski, one of my favourite Aussie fighters to ever step foot in the octagon, and will go down as potentially the best of the featherweight division of all time. To beat Max Holloway in his prime 3 times, insane shit. And just that run that he went on. This is one of those fights where I will genuinely be standing up in my lounge room and Nikita will be going, you don't need to fucking get this involved in these fights. But literally edge of the seat kind of stuff. So I'm going Alexander Volkanovski to win at $1.83. If I bitch it on Sunday and I'm too scared to put money on Volk, I will just bet on fight to go the distance at $2.30, which I think is good value. I think if Volk gets the win, he's going to grind out the decision win with Diego Lopez, take him into those championship rounds and really fucking test what the kid's got. So that brings us to our guaranteed tips for UFC 314 in Miami. Again, I just want to reiterate, we have picked some absolute fucking dogs throughout this whole breakdown again. Last time this happened, the internet fucking came for me. So only bet if you can. Now, these are my safest bets from what I've got. I've got Mitch Raposo at $2.57 in the early prelims. The main event fight to go the distance at $2.30. And my Hail Mary. If you guys are feeling extra froggy on Sunday and you just want an awesome multi to throw on because it'll make the fight so much funner, I've put together a Hail Mary good guy vet bet. Pretty catchy if you ask me. And I've got Volk, Chandler, Pitbull, Miller, all in a multi paying $64.51. Guys, let me say that again. My Hail Mary good guy vet bet. If I see all those guys win, I'm going to be screaming from my rooftop. But that has brought us to the end of my UFC breakdown. Plug a couple of things coming up. I've got new vlogs. I think by the end of this week, I'll have another 2 up on my YouTube channel at Jimmy Misson on YouTube, with a couple more to edit and put up. So go check those out. Would genuinely appreciate some views on it. If you do view it, give me the little like button as well. Helps me get in the algorithm. Friday the 11th and Saturday the 12th, this weekend, I'll be at the Newcastle Comedy Club on their showcase shows. Saturday the 26th, we have a West Park production show at Sunny's at Margate again. Show is sold out, so unfortunately no tickets available, but plugging it anyway. May 2nd, we will be at Moree. That is looking like it's on the verge of selling out, ladies and gentlemen, from what I've seen. May 3rd in Dubbo, though. If you know anyone in Dubbo, tell them to come check us out. There's 4 of us on the tour. I can vouch for every single one of them. Genuine, funny guys. So, yeah, if you live in Dubbo or you know anyone in Dubbo, tell them to get in touch and grab some tickets. It's going to be a fucking sick night. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, new episodes every Tuesday. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you guys already know that, but I figured I'd tell anyone that has just tuned in for the UFC portion of it. Otherwise, send submissions via DM on Instagram at Can't Get Any Worse Podcast, or send me an email at can'tgetanyworsepod@gmail.com. I hope we all enjoy the fights this week. I have the camera set up now, so I'm thinking from UFC 315 or UFC 316, I'm thinking I'm going to do a live watch along on YouTube for one of those cards and just see how it goes. See if a couple of you come and hang out with me while I watch the fights. The other thing I'm thinking to start from the next fight card is put up on my Instagram stories a Can't Get Any Worse multi that I put up a couple of options and you guys all vote, like put up a poll or whatever, and then that can be the Can't Get Any Worse multi for the card. And hopefully we can all win some money together. Let me know what you guys think about that anyway. Appreciate you guys listening, and I will see you later.
Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. It's all